Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic, non-classic. This is episode number 1706 and Doubleshot number 1600. Yep. You might be asking, Nick, you see in your last video that next video is going to be Shaman King? Well, yes, I did. But I figured out this is ready to go. Work on this one. Alright, first up we have the second and last trade to collect Martian Manhunter Volume 4. That particular ongoing series. This is called The Red Rising. This collects issues of Martian Manhunter Volume 4, issues 7 through 12, and Justice League of America Volume 4, issue 5. Yes, the only issue not collected in the JLA trade paperback by Brian Hitch. Yes, the whole purpose of this thing, they put this just after the main series. You could say it just takes place afterwards, but mostly put with this issue, the Justice League America issue, and this was something I think a lot of people are questioning why DC did this for, because this is the only issue of a series called Justice League America, and it focuses on Martian Manhunter, and it's not written by Brian Hitch. My only guess is the reason why DC did that because the book was going through heavy delays. Because Brian Hitch was writing and drawing this book. Yes, delays. As far as I can tell, of course this book didn't finally conclude until about 6 years ago, after publishing 10 issues in a little over a year of the book being published. Now, a lot of people had a lot of questions when the book came out, like reading this book, like, okay, so this book has the original lineup because Hal Jordan's in the group, because he actually quit after, I think it was just after the opening story, a second story arc of the original Jeff Johns run, the 2011 run for Justice League. And the book itself basically has some interesting ideas with it. My biggest problem with the book was not the artwork. I love the character development. I love the artwork too. The problem with the book was, and this was also a big problem with Brian Hitch's run for Justice League, the story. Not interesting, and it felt very bland, and it felt like basically like if you read like the opening story arc, what is the story of the opening story of the Brian Hitch run for Justice League? They're just like fighting random monsters. And the whole thing with that, of course, they did follow up with this run as the third story arc of that run. And it kind of continues on the plot threads from there. But not really. It just mostly is a sequel to that one, but didn't really resolve anything. There was this whole thing with that one, like, oh, we have like 50 dead Ultimate Superman, and not follow up with. My only guess is the reason why DC did this, because They probably knew that Brian Hitch basically was slow with this book, but they figured, okay, we need to have a Justice League book come out this month, a Justice League America book. So, like, hey, Rob Williams, I want you, but I'm sure some editor probably say, like, Rob Williams, okay, I get the fact you work on Martian Manhunter. I need you to put out a Martian Manhunter story that you probably would have done in the main series and we'll put in Justice League America. He's like, okay, fine. And of course, he co-wrote with Matt Knott, of all people. Yes, a guy who was a really good writer, who surprisingly didn't do very much for DC. No. The only books I can think of the guy did for DC, he worked on, Justice League America Volume 3 and this one issue of Justice League America Volume 4. I think he worked on like one other book, and I think that was it. Yeah, shockingly, that was it. I don't think of any other books he worked on at DC. Mostly when people think of a writer like Matt Knott, people think of his writing for Valiant, though he has not a lot of writing per se. Yeah, most people with this one, the several people who show up at the end of the last trade, like Mr. Biscuit, a black guy who was an FBI agent, and like a few people. One who happens to be Mark Miller's twin brother. Where, like, they have this weird end in this book of the storyline where, like, oh, Mars is back, but then, of course, these 5 random guys show up, seem like anyways. Of course, this character comes into this book. And also, Pearl's here on Mars with this of the person and the story got everything is like sort of back normal. Apparently, it's revealed that all the characters, with the exception of Martian Manhunter and like one other character, even the Justice League, were all people who are not real. They were basically pieces of Martian Manhunter. Why the heck Rob Williams did this to end this run, I have no idea. It's like, oh yeah, he's truly the last of the Martian. And there was another girl who looks like Pearl. Yeah, Pearl turns out who had been a regular character in this book. It turns out she was actually a piece of Martian Manhunter. I'm like, what the heck? I mean, I get maybe Mr. Biscuit and the other characters, but the girl? Seriously? Why her? Yeah, kind of a weak ending to this book. This would be really good for most of this book. The ending was weak. And felt like came in completely left field. I'm going to give this book roughly I would give 9.5 because I do like the story. Just a weak ending. Final thoughts on this run. It was a pretty interesting run per se. It was the first ongoing series that Martian had in about 20 years. It was great. But here's the weird thing about this book. As soon as this book ended, next time you see Martian Manhunter is in a one-shot. Where he teams up with Marvin the Martian. But his first proper return won't be until Dark Knight's Metal. No, seriously, that's the next time you see him. 2 years later. Why in the world they basically put this character on the shelf for 2 years? I have no freaking idea. And what has DC done with the character since then? Well, popped up in Justice League. He had another solo book, which is 12-issue max series by Steve Leno. And that's shockingly been it for Martian Manhunter. Yeah, I have no idea what the heck DC plans to do with this character. He's a great character. And I will eventually do a comic history on him. It just said, wow. It's just like his time in New 52 is just bizarre at best. Alright, next up is this book here, which is called it's called Gameverse. Basically, it's called Marvel Avengers Road A-Day. Yes, it's a series of 4 one-shots focusing on Thor, Iron Man, Black Widow, and Captain America. Well, they're all done by the regular Marvel writers, but here's the thing. These 4 one-shots, all they do is set up a video game. That's it. That is the purpose of these one-shots. Who writes these one-shots, you might ask? Well, you have Jim Zeb, who writes the Iron Man one, who also has Thor, Hulk. Captain America was actually about 5 one-shots. Captain America's by Paul Eller, and Black Widow's by Christos Gage. Yes. Who does the Iron Man are working on Paco Diaz. Thor's by Robert Gill. Hulk is an Air Olivetti, great artist. Captain America, Georges Gently, and Michelle Bandy does the Black Widow one shot. So yeah, just like I just said, this, lots of setup for that video game. That's really what these stories are. Just set up what you see in the action video game itself. I personally haven't played it yet. I know that the game itself. By the way, I get this book game. I'm gonna give it 8. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna be fair to. I'm gonna give it 7.5. It's okay. We got some good storytelling here, but it's just okay. The problem with the video game, from what I've heard, it has got somewhat of negative reviews. I didn't hear anything about the gameplay people had a problem with. It was the story people had a problem with. And people consider this game to be a massive disappointment. I mean, people love Marvel Spider-Man. They love that game. It is fantastic. I've seen give high praise for the game. I've read some of the comic books in the game universe. Excuse me. But this book particularly, aside from having the in-universe appearance of all the 4 members of the Avengers, well, aside from them, you have in the first one shot, which is basically the Iron Man one, where he takes on the Beetle. Yes, the Beetle. And of course we also have Titania of Zorman, which There's no mention of these two being married in this universe. Nope, no mention of it. And I have to beat battling these people, and of course they do something else. And then they run into the Fixer. So you kind of say, like, oh, we just run into found two members of the Thunderbolts. Yeah, there's nothing involving Thunderbolts here. Mm-hmm. And this thing that was really weird. I'm not sure why the heck they did this. We have Stark and Bruce Banner arguing. Where he says this, what? No. And why the hell are you openly talking about it in the censored lab? I guess I'm an idiot. Master conversation and scanning the room at the same time. And what they're actually is mayonnaise. No. Okay, well, it's the French fries. It's a European thing, Bruce. Try it next time. You'll be surprised. I'm like, really? Mayonnaise. Wow. Yeah, talk about basically weird stuff here. And we have Spy Master. Yeah, he's a minor DC. He's a minor Marvel character. And then we have Nick Fury, who, for some reason, is dressed like the original Nick Fury, and heck, even has the same haircut as him. But for some reason, it's the black Nick Fury, because that's a thing. MCU insists we have to have a black Nick Fury, despite the fact for years it was white. That was mostly based upon the Ultimate version. Yep. I'm not talking much else about this one. Just a series of okay stuff here. I like them as storytelling here, but yeah, they're just okay. Okay, so that's going to be it for this particular review. Next one will definitely be Shaman King, and then after that will be Case of Vanatos, One Piece, and Bart. That'll be pretty much it for today. Okay, next video. Bye.